So today, for authors at Google SF, we'd like to welcome Bob Gilbreath. He is the Chief Marketing Strategist at Bridge Worldwide, a WPP agency, and he's here to speak about his new book, The Next Evolution of Marketing: Connect with Your Customers by Marketing with Meaning. Just a brief summary on it. He mentions how the old interruptive model of marketing no longer works. Customers are tuning out. They're no longer listening to these in-your-face messages. Instead, they're demanding meaning from brands they buy from and the marketing that reaches them. In the next evolution of marketing, Bob will unveil a revolutionary new approach to business that fills the gaping voids left in bottom lines when people start tuning out. He'll describe the marketing revolution now underway and the powerful forces driving it. So with that, please welcome Bob Gilbreath.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Those behind the bar, feel free to get within view. I can serve your needs much better if I can see you. But thanks for having me. This is really a great service you guys have, both for authors like myself to come and visit. But I think it's really neat that you can be here and learn from others that are coming in. I've been watching several of the authors at Google presentations actually over the years, and very, very impressed, and would love to do something similar back at our office in Cincinnati. Just a couple of things I want to talk about, and I think I'm here for two things both. I've got a book concept that I think you might find interesting, but I'm also head of strategy at one of the top 30 digital agencies here in North America, again, part of WPP. My background before joining Bridge, I was a brand manager at Procter & Gamble and did that for about 6 years. Almost went to Yahoo instead of going to Procter in the late 90s, and it's probably a pretty good move at the time. But I always kind of had digital in my blood, and working as both the kind of traditional brand management stuff. I was also the digital geek in the halls, and I always got a lot of those projects. So going to Bridge was kind of a chance to kind of do that full time and get my peers and friends on the other side of the client agency line to join me in the digital revolution. Quick points on Bridge. We're headquartered in Cincinnati. We've got about 270 people there now. Slide's a little bit dated. We also got a small office in New York and opening an office soon in LA. The thing we're probably most proud of is being named one of the best top 25 small businesses to work for by the same people who do the Fortune magazine, most of my best companies to work for list. And that's something that really for us, make sure that we draw great talent, keep them, and have them continue to develop. That's a mic there. Hi. We're part of WPP, so I guess we're frenemies with Google, whatever that means. But we definitely have had some good relationships there. We work with a lot of kind of major Fortune 100 clients. That's really our business focus. Heavy into CPG with Procter & Gamble, retail with Kroger, Luxottica, and also some financial services. I know some of you here represent that. We work with Fifth Third Bank. We also do some work for U.S. Bank, but they don't like to know we're working on those. So we do a ton of brand work. This is really kind of the heart of what we are as an agency, is being the digital agency of record for several major brands ranging from Love's to Red Bull to Ingram Micro. Again, heavy in the CPG, healthcare, financial services as well. And the thing that I do in my job most of the day is help my team and our clients with the key questions that they're all asking in the hallways right now, which is, where's marketing going? What do I do in digital of the 50 or 60 different things that are possible? And even down to the things like, what's my social media strategy? And what is a little frustrating when you get all those questions is that a lot of times it's diving right down into the tactics, right? So what exactly should I do? And I think that what I want to share, and really the purpose of this book, is to try to get the entire industry really to raise up a level and look at what is really the right way to engage in marketing, period. If we were to look at and start over of what is marketing about, what is the right way to approach that? And then that will help us get to the right tactics, the right things that we actually do to bring those strategies to life. And about 3 years ago, I started thinking about this concept, and really kind of started off with a very basic statement, which I think most people would agree with. That's that people don't like advertising, right? Okay, there's a few smiles and nods there. It's sad but true, and again, I've worked in marketing for a long time and advertising agency for a while. It's sad to admit this, but this is really the first step of any change, right? Is admitting your mistakes and admitting what's wrong with what you're doing today. And if you look at advertising today, in many cases, it's irrelevant at best and can be offensive at worst. And if you take things like the erectile dysfunction category that we've all seen, the advertising for these, what's amazing is that it's only about 1% of men over age 40 suffer from this condition. The other 99% of us, I'm not bragging, by the way, sorry, that's a little bit weird. Anywho, I'm not 40 yet, that's actually, but it's irrelevant for most of the people who are watching this. And as a father of two daughters, 1 9 and 1 7, it's really also not fun when you're watching the Sunday football game and with the family and see advertising for this and have your daughter ask, Daddy, what's ED? True story. I have another friend who has a son who said, I think I may have ED, Mom. So sometimes advertising, even when it's irrelevant, can go too far. And then we as an industry overall have overwhelmed people with junk. So we put ads on gas pumps, ads on turnstiles at the Cincinnati Bengals Stadium, and even in the Netherlands, ads on sheep in a field. There's a sheep advertising network out there that maybe Google could buy up and have some relevant ads for us there. But it's really getting a little bit out of control. And the model of this constantly finding new ways to interrupt people is starting to break down. In many ways, digital has been that catalyst. And if you look at it, its heart, it's that it's giving people new habits of how they consume media and the freedom that they have to control their experience. One thing that's really interesting is that people are watching, listening to, and reading less ad-supported media overall. There was a study a couple of years ago that said ad-supported media consumption is actually down in the past 5 years, and that's continuing today, even as people seem to be consuming more media than ever. What's happening there is that people are able to watch a DVD, maybe a whole season of television on a DVD, instead of watching on traditional 20 minutes out of every hour commercial-supported television. People loading enough songs and creating playlists on their iPods that you really don't have a need for terrestrial or ad-supported radio. You've got your best hits right on hand. Or even things like video games where the sales of Madden's annual franchise games keep going up among young men, and viewership of actual live football is going down. And while there is some advertising in Madden, it's more to just make the game look legitimate versus actually adding to the experience. And then, of course, we know the story of people have freedom to skip or avoid advertising in many ways. TiVo, who I'm meeting with later today, actually, tools like Bug Me Not allow you to get content without registering. And AdBlock, which about 6 million people have now installed on Firefox, that if you haven't tried it, it takes 5 minutes to install and takes away all banner ads that you see on websites. And so once you start seeing that happen, it's a pretty slippery slope to see that the model is starting to fail. And more banners is not the answer. We make a lot of banners for a lot of clients. We make money. My salary is paid by banners. But I can tell you right now, that's not the future of where marketing is going to go in digital. We see things like MySpace, Facebook, CPMs are horrible, responses are anemic, government's starting to crack down on the targeting tools that we want to use. That again, there's no one out there protesting to say, let's allow advertisers to keep using our personal data to serve better ads. That's not going to happen because of the industry relationship we have. And then finally, when we do eye tracking studies, we see that more and more people learn where banners are and learn not to look at them. And so that's just another reality that we have to face and figure out how to learn and migrate from there. And it's not just making the banner bigger. So here are a couple of the new sizes: the push down, the XXL box. Even organizations like TechCrunch are making fun of this, who make money off banner ads. But the reality is that what do you do when people start ignoring these ads too? One of the things that's interesting is AOL's new strategy. One of the first things they did was cut out a lot of the ad inventory to make their service seem better. Again, they're listening to their consumers, and that's the first step. But that's not good news for advertisers we work with. So you take that model and you say, wow, we just can't keep interrupting people. What do we do instead? And I think if you start to look around, you see that a new model is starting to form. And again, digital is actually the catalyst in many ways. Some of the best new marketing out there is happening because of new digital tools that we have. Nike Plus, for example, who's on Nike Plus? Come on. All right, we got 1, 2 way in the back there. You want to say how many miles you guys have, or is that too personal? I got on this about a year and a half ago, really to frankly learn what the marketing hype was about, and found it to be an incredible service where it's helping me track my runs, improve my distance, improve my times, do challenges with friends. It's really, it's somewhere between a product and service and marketing. It's hard to tell, but regardless, it's working very well for Nike. They say 30% of the users of Nike Plus return more than once per week. And in the first year that they launched this, they said that it was responsible for an 8% increase in profits. And so now Nike as an entire company is really moving its marketing model toward creating digital services. Things like in basketball, they've got training videos online by actual NBA trainers. In Europe, they have a special shoe that you buy. When you buy it, you get access to a iPhone app that you can bring out to the practice field and get real tips and training regimens from the pros. Southwest Airlines, another great digital example of adding value through marketing. Their tool called Ding actually lets people find, there's a lot of people who will use Southwest to fly between key cities. Say they've got family in Houston and they live in San Antonio. If that fare price gets down to a certain level, they'll go any weekend. And so this Ding tool allows people to call out the flights that they're interested in, what fares are the magic price points for them, and then when those fares hit, ding, you hear it in your inbox, on your desktop, and you can buy a fare right there off the spot. And some of the results on this one, 10 million site visits through Ding just in the third quarter of last year. And it's about 4 years in now. The data that they're sharing, at least so far, is the second year in, they got 150 million in revenue from this tool. So incredible service there, and it's marketing that people enjoy. Kraft Food's another one. Kraft has been a leader in really using digital to provide services for people. You've probably seen craftfoods.com. They've got a great website with recipes of every type. They've added cooking videos. And then now they've got it in iPhone apps with a tool called iFood. Incredible success for them so far. They actually got featured in iTunes, and they're selling it for 99 cents. They felt like it was so valuable that they needed to price it at a certain point to communicate the value to buyers of it. And they said that they hit their 3-year download goal in just a matter of weeks. I think in Advertising Age last week they announced that they're doing a 2.0 with more services, more revenue opportunities, which means it's definitely working for them. And you guys are doing this as well, something definitely interesting. If you look at the value of Google, maybe the first company that's created a big sizable business off of creating marketing that people want to see with Google AdWords. Again, Bob Garfield said it best that consumers may not care much for commercials, but they do want to learn a lot about the information that brands have. And they're actively seeking that, and you're helping them find that. And that really kind of gets to what this concept is all about. We call it marketing with meaning. And really we think there's two elements of what is meaningful marketing and what is really going to succeed today and increasingly going forward. The first is it's marketing that people choose to engage with. And if you think about that carefully, for old-time marketers like myself, we're used to buying eyeballs, right? Impressions by the thousand. This is shifting that and saying what it's really about is how many people choose to engage with the marketing that you've created. It's a much smaller number, but it's actually a much higher chance of getting sales at a high rate from people once they're actually saying, I want to be a part of the marketing that you're creating. And then the second piece is it's creating marketing that itself improves people's lives. Again, it's really hard for traditional advertisers to kind of think this way, especially marketing that may not be forced. You may not force to buy the product or service itself. I know when I worked at Procter & Gamble, I worked on new formulas of Tide, new products like Mr. Clean Magic Eraser. I loved getting up in the morning and knowing that I was creating products that people loved. And they told me in focus groups, they wrote emails. It was great. But then I would go work on a commercial where I'd try to squeeze in on Tide we called the Into the Light shot, where mom going by her television set with a commercial playing would get some unconscious symbolism of whiteness linked to the brand. And we spent hours and hours trying to perfect those interruptions so we could somehow get there. This is about actually creating the marketing that improves people's lives. So frankly, a lot of the work we do as marketers and advertisers is more valuable to us as part of the equation that comes through here. One of the things that we've done, and a couple things in the book as well, and tools we use in our company, one of the things is really where do you start? What do you do that's meaningful for your brand and your consumers? And one very simple way of looking at it comes from Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And you probably remember this from Sociology 101. It's about 50 years old, this model, but it's still the best way to kind of understand what are people's needs, and then what do they satisfy next once they've met those needs. Starts off with things like food and shelter and water. Then you go to levels like friendship and family. And then finally at the top is self-actualization around how do I improve myself, my family, and the world around me. And we've created something similar we call the hierarchy of meaningful marketing, which is one way to help brands really come up with those ideas. The very basic level is solution. And so this is things like, give me services, information, and incentives that are helpful. This is that bar. To be meaningful, you've at least got to add value in that way. The lowly coupon is a great example of meaningful marketing. I mean, this is for decades, people have gone to their Sunday papers to look for advertising in the form of the Sunday coupon. They learn about what's new. They get discounts on purchases they're thinking about buying. And the problem, though, is that this is a medium that's gone pretty old and hasn't been updated in a while. A project we got to work on with two of our clients, Procter & Gamble and Kroger, was Pge Saver. And this is really the first for both an online coupon linked to that Sunday paper. What you could do is register on the site, register your Kroger shopper card, and then every week you can see which coupons are coming out. You don't have to buy the newspaper. You check off the ones that you're interested in, and then when you buy the products at the store, you get the credit automatically put on the end of your grocery bill. And so this is a great win-win. Newspaper circulation declines, so it helps the marketers, helps the consumers because it's more convenient. Women and moms are starting to plan their shopping trips online first and foremost. The results have been really great. They had 100,000 people register for this in the first month, well north of that today. And we're seeing things like higher shopper card registration. Personalization that we've tested has become very successful. People opening the emails more, redeeming the coupons more, really at a rate that's unseen in traditional Sunday coupons. So great stuff there. Anyone use the Domino's pizza tracker lately? Tons of people are using. This is really interesting, and it was kind of a surprise story, but it shows a lot of different opportunities for brands to just provide information about the products that they're selling, or in this case, delivering. About a year ago, Domino's actually had a problem, which is people will call in frequently after they've ordered their pizza, but before the 30 minutes is up, to see where it is. And really some of that is that we become used to this, where's my order? Where's my delivery? We get our UPS packages. We track the steps along the way. And Domino's was having their phone lines tied up with people checking on the progress of their pizza. So they launched this pizza tracker online that has it's quasi-real, quasi-simulated stages of where the pizza is depending on when you ordered it. And now people are going there. When it was first launched around the Super Bowl last year, a lot of people in the industry laughed at it and said, who wants to check their pizza? Well, in the first 2 months, 1 million people were silly enough to do that. And that was only in half the stores it was rolled out at that time. At this point, it's been a huge success for Domino's. Online is now 28% of their sales. 75% of those people are using the pizza tracker, and they've now put the pizza tracker in an iPhone app, on Facebook, and more tools coming along the way. So that silliness is doing very well for them. And it's inspired a lot of other companies to get into things like there's an egg company where you can track which farm your egg came from based on a code that's printed on the egg. Dole bananas have a SKU where you can track which farm around the world the bananas came from. People love the information about the products that they're buying. And I spotted this morning. Actually, a friend of mine called me knowing I was coming here. But some of the things that you're doing at Google, I think, have a lot of opportunity to provide that information that people are looking for. I think this was announced yesterday at the big meeting you guys had down at the headquarters, search by site with Google Goggles, where you could say, hold up your iPhone over a wine label, and then automatically get some information about that product right there. So tons of opportunity. People do want this information. And then in this case, they want it at the wine store. They're not going to go home and boot up their laptop to get the information they need. So a great use of mobile to provide info. The second level we call connection. And so this is really about that next step is how do you create experiences that people can share with others? And one of the challenges we had at our agency a little over a year ago was with launching a new product from Healthy Choice, which is owned by Conagra Foods. Healthy Choice has been known for years as really the product for if you've got health issues and you need things that are a little bit better for you, a little bit lower sodium or less fat. It's been a great market over the years, but it's been limited and kind of too much niche. And so really wanted, as the brand really wanted to get to a younger audience. The first step they took was to make better products that are better taste, more convenient. And they've done some great work on there, but they needed to explain that these products were available to a group of 30s and 40-somethings that had really not spent much time thinking about Healthy Choice in the past couple of years. We did some research, and we really found out that 60% of our target audience is in offices, and they're eating lunch at their desks. And we thought that there really was an opportunity there. We dug a little further in that. We found that time when they're having lunch at their desk is me time. Right. They're not doing work emails then or responding. They're checking out their personal email accounts maybe. They're checking what's new with their Facebook updates or looking at things like viral videos. And one of the guys on our team said that, it's lunchtime is the new prime time. And so we created this pretty cool, entertaining experience around Healthy Choice. And I'll show this quick video to describe it.
Working Lunch is the first ever live improv web series directed by the audience. Fresh Mixers gave office workers a convenient way to mix fresh ingredients into a tasty meal. Working Lunch gave them a fun way to create fresh, live improv comedy from the comfort of their cubes. The audience was in control from the start, influencing the action in real time every step of the way. It was the digital equivalent of shouting out a suggestion in a comedy club. And it led to some crazy stuff. In all, 16 original episodes were streamed across 3 time zones every day during the lunch hour. Working Lunch and Fresh Mixers were a hit, serving nearly 3 million live video streams. Working Lunch, user-powered comedy served fresh at your desk. Now that's fresh.
So pretty fun stuff, and it drove the results for the business as well. We've now had over 5 million views of the videos that we served up there, and had a very successful launch of their Cafe Steamers products there. What's also really great about this story is that it was the first kind of big digital-led idea that the company Conagra had done. And now that we saw some success there and made it happen, it's gotten the whole company really pumped up of doing more and kind of take it to the next level on future initiatives. Anytime you personalize a product, this is meaningful marketing that I think really does a good job on hitting on that idea of connections. My M&M's probably the best at this. They've been doing it for 5 or 6 years now. Started off, you could just type a simple message, a few words, and pick out the colors M&Ms that you wanted. And they've now continued to evolve that to where you can have sports teams on there, you can have pictures uploaded. Really, really great. And anytime you're having consumers make the brand their own, that's a much, much deeper connection that lasts a lot longer than just that into the light shot of a whiteness equity point that you may get with a traditional commercial. M&M's, again, you think about, used to be 50 cents at the checkout counter was what they look at for a sale. With this product, it's a 7-ounce pack for $12.99, minimum 3 packs, plus shipping and handling. So it goes from being a 50-cent item into a $50 brand experience. Better experience for the consumer, much more profitable for M&M's. And they said that this line has really revitalized the entire brand. And they're now taking it to their other products like Dove candy, for example. I wanted to throw an example of a non-digital social media story in here too. One of my favorite examples of really kind of long-term meaningful marketing is what the Mount Gay rum brand has done with its red hats. And I'm not sure if there's any sailors out there, but what they've really, it's a premium rum brand that's actually been around for 300 years from Barbados. And several years ago, they started sponsoring regattas. And if you actually participate, if you're sailing in this regatta, you get a commemorative hat from Outgame Rum with the name of the regatta across the top sewn in. And these hats have become incredible collector's items for people, like that proof of that you've been in the race. And what it's used as is people will be walking around in an airport or on a beach with one of these hats on, and other sailors will come up to them out of the blue and strike up a conversation about the race itself, what boat do you sail, and that type of thing. And so these rum hat wearers go out in public wearing the hat, knowing that it'll help them connect with other people. And so great example of some kind of social media without digital that shows that people can connect over brands with the simple investment of a red hat. Again, I want to throw a good Google example in there. I mean, what you all are doing with celebrating events, holidays, special moments like Sesame Street's 40th anniversary, this is meaningful marketing of Google. This is part of the reason that your company continues to be the number one most valuable brand in the world without doing a $100 million glitzy advertising campaign like some of your competitors, Yahoo and AOL, are doing right now. Making the everyday fun, making it meaningful. That's really what it's all about. And sometimes it's just these little things that can have a huge impact. Speaking of little things, wanted to share this. Anyone clicked on this banner ad in the past couple of months? Would you click it? We actually had a challenge on the Pringles brand as one of our clients. They had gone through a process where they really wanted to restructure the brand and really kind of take a new look of what was their brand purpose. Why does the brand exist? This is something that their former chief marketing officer, Jim Stengel, really led for the company, and they've continued to push that from there. Pringles came up with a new brand purpose, which is words to the effect of Pringles exist to create moments of spontaneous fun. And one of the first pieces of work that we got under that new brand purpose was the lowly banner ad, right? I just ended up talking a lot of bad things about banner ads. But our team took that on and said, okay, how can we, a very simple brief, how can we create spontaneous fun through a normal banner ad? And they came up with this concept, which is really daring. It's weird, it's odd, and frankly, daring people to click. And when you do start clicking, like I will right now, so each one of these is one of 97 total clicks here. But check it out. Google Pringles banner and you'll go right to our staging server. We knew this was successful when actually we had it on staging and it somehow leaked, to the outside public. And within about 3 days, we had 300,000 people go through this banner ad on our website. And 20% of them clicked all the way to the end, which is 97 frames, if you're wondering. What really made us feel good was seeing this listed on Dig, listed on BuzzFeed. Even the critics at FARC raved about this. We knew that we had something that was very powerful when people were saying, best banner ad ever, thanks for making my day. And then importantly, I'm going to go rush out and buy some Pringles this weekend because you made me have such a great time. And for us in the agency business, we also love it because you can still win Cannes Advertising Awards for it. We got a Gold Lion in June, and this was the first Gold Lion in the cyber category or digital category that Procter & Gamble had ever won. So even the lowly banner ad, you can do some fun stuff with. And the final level, we call it achievement. And so this is, again, mirroring Maslow. Help me improve myself, my family, and the world around me. A program we created that we've been running for 5 years now, Diabetes Control for Life. We saw a real opportunity for people who are newly diagnosed with diabetes. They go in, the doctor tells them they've got a disease that they'll probably have for their life, that they've got to change their eating habits, and they've got to exercise more. And 20 minutes later, they're ushered out and are on their own. And we found a real opportunity to provide them kind of the coaching and guidance and tools that they needed to make healthy habit change. And with this program, it actually, the centerpiece is a 24-week meal and fitness planner that actually has clinical data that shows that people's A1C levels, which is a key determinant of the disease's progression, go down, and their weight is going down, and they're saying they're feeling better. And so we've got great results for improving their lives, but then we also have some great data that shows participants in the program are buying 3 times more Abbott products. here in the diabetes category. So that's, again, a tremendous win-win for them. Something I also want to point out that just popped up for me this week, I blogged about Facebook is really helping people create causes. And got an email, my birthday's coming up in another week or so, and got this message from Facebook saying, we know your birthday's coming up. And they also know that everyone on my Facebook list is going to be seeing that. This year, why don't you help support a charity? So with this pretty simple tool, about 5 minutes, you say why you're going to donate, and you can pick the charity that you're interested in donating to. It's really early. Check it out. I think it's pretty interesting, but it's neat how they kind of take that personal thing that we all experience every year and turn it from being something that's dreaded even and turning it to something positive that you can share with your friends' network. So really cool stuff there. Wanted to interrupt with just some other things that we've been thinking about lately, about this concept and the clients that we're speaking with. One is that I think that, we're always asked the question, and we're always out there saying, what's new? What's my Twitter strategy? What do I do in social media? Is this the year of mobile? There's a lot of those questions about the tactics that are up and coming. And one of the things I think that's really easy is to look through new media through this lens of meaningful marketing. And in many ways, I think that we're leapfrogging the interruptive stage and going right to the meaning stage in our industry. And that's really, if you look at that idea of leapfrog technology, it's mainly used when you talk about in China, they're not putting in telephone poles like we had, in our country. They're going straight to the best technology. They're going straight to cell towers. In certain other countries, they're not putting in coal plants. They're going straight to solar cells. And so if you think about that in the new media, I think we're already seeing mobile, for example, leapfrog the interruptive stage, the tiny little banner stage, and going right to things like apps. And I know if we look, as I look across some of our clients and others out there, it's tough to get this data, but I would be willing to bet that brands are already spending more money on added value apps than they are on regular mobile media. I think that's something that brands are really starting to get excited about. Charmin is one of our clients. They have a great app called Sit or Squat that helps you find public restrooms when you're in need. This is, believe me, it's the most innovative stuff since Mr. Whipple came on the scene. But this little app is something that's getting a Charmin brand, again, toilet paper brand, in the marketing pages, having people excited about it. And, having a great experience with this app, you may become a Charmin fan for life versus kind of losing favor every couple of years and needing a friendly commercial reminder. Gaming is another area where, as soon as, especially through things like Xbox Live, people have been looking for how do we put another banner, how do we put some kind of ad message into games. Here you can see one example I pulled from my Guitar Hero playing. You can barely see it on the fake stage of Guitar Hero. That's an ad for Microsoft Sync in-car audio product. Here you can see an ad for Diesel on a racing game. I think already that's not getting the mass support that a lot of people and entrepreneurs would hope it would. But what is seeing a lot of success is when you add value to the gamer's experience. Best Buy, for example, partnered with Rock Band on the release of the album 10. They provided 3 free songs for Pearl Jam songs you could play on your Rock Band game. And so that was a great promotion that was actually adding value. Universal Studios launching the movie Tropic Thunder, partnered with Tom Clancy's Red Cell Vegas game, first-person shooter, to create a whole new level that you could play, kind of a scavenger hunt for the game. So again, they're adding more content to the game experience, and that helped them get a lot of buzz for their opening weekend, which was critical. One last thing I want to hit on is, again, one of our clients, a lot of mass marketers that for years have been about, hitting tens of millions of consumers' eyeballs a year and hoping a small percentage of them buys the products. When we talk about digital, when we talk about what to do in the world where that kind of traditional interruptive model is falling apart, what we constantly hear back, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard it as well, is what about scale? How do I get scale? How do I get those tens of millions of people to pay attention to my message? And I think the watch out here is that, scale's already going away. It's very, very hard, even with an interruption, to hit that many people. Folks are tuning out of traditional advertising or splintering it along 500 channels. But I think there's a really different opportunity to have a more focused kind of relationship marketing experience with a much smaller group of people. And again, being something that's meaningful marketing, you can keep them for life and get them to buy a lot more of your products than just finding a very weak interruption. And one piece of evidence that I see on that is if you look at Nike Plus, kind of something I mentioned earlier, it's a global tool. It's been around for 4 years now. It's a big focus of Nike's marketing efforts. It only has about 1.5 million people using it who have ever used it around the world. And if you dig even deeper, it's only about 250,000 people who have run or walked at least 100 miles. That's not a lot. I mean, that's kind of the basics. And so you look at this huge tool that's getting a lot of buzz is really only focusing on a couple 100,000 people. That's hard for a traditional marketer to understand. But Nike is seeing the results, and that's why they're shifting this model. They're seeing that, wow, we can get those 250,000 people and more and get them to spend a couple $100s with us every year versus getting some tiny fraction to remember to buy our shoes once every 5 years. So that's really kind of shifting the model right there as well. I do have one extra last thing I wanted to bring up because it was actually a conversation we had at our WPP offices with some folks from Google a couple of weeks ago. And this question of, are GRPs really the answer? Is that gross rating point, the number of eyeballs? There's a lot of people in the digital marketing industry that say, you know what, we're not getting the growth we need. Consumers are still not spending enough on digital. So let's just put everything we do into the impression, cost per thousand model. Jeff Ramsey, one of the top data guys in the industry for a while, recently said this and quoted someone who said, you'll never see P&G and Unilever and those guys spending online unless we give them reach, frequency, and GRPs. Their entire business model is based on that. And we actually had a debate. Dennis Woodside was with us a couple of weeks ago talking about a new tool where it was kind of like a click to play a video from a brand. And the discussion we had is that, what do you charge for that, right? So in the CPM type model, that's $20 for every 1,000 people. So that's maybe only, a penny or less per view on a traditional ad on television in prime time. But what do you charge? What are marketers willing to pay for someone who says, I want to see your ad. I'm going to click on it. So that's one of the things we got to struggle with as an industry. And I think it's much better for us to start spending our time figuring out what's the value of that engaged choice for consumer than figuring out how do we take that great experience there and dumb it down and price it down to the level of lowest common denominator with the GRP. So some stuff we got to figure out. The final thoughts I just want to say, we'll get some books out to you guys and definitely follow up with me if you don't have enough, and I'm happy to send some out. You guys are great thought leaders and the kind of people that we want spreading this word. But the last thing I'd say is that, when you go back to the meeting here today, when you're talking with brands, I think one really useful tool to think about is to just ask yourself the questions, will people choose to engage with my marketing? Is my marketing itself adding value to people's lives? And then frankly, is this the kind of work that's meaningful to me? And I think when we hit all three of those, we're going to have a lot of great sales for our clients, and we're going to have a much more enjoyable everyday experience when we get up in the morning too. So the book is out. I've got a website, marketingwithmeaning.com, where I've got 3 blog posts a week. For financial services folks, I've got a lot of banking examples and stories in there. Also got a Twitter feed that I update pretty frequently too. And with the book, there's an iPhone app that goes along with that where I've kind of got links to all the examples used in the book, which are about 500 to go see them online too. So we got like 10 minutes left. Would love to take any questions. Tougher the better. Yeah.
So I guess I'm curious what's new. With all due respect, I understand what you're saying, but it's
right.
Really a new evolution of marketing with meaning makes sense. I'm just trying to capture what's the summary of what you're trying to say?
Right. Well, I think so. The question for those, if you can't hear it in different cities, is what's new about this? And I think there has been some talk in the past of other concepts. Another group calls brand utility. There's another person out there that says, marketing as service. Whatever buzzword we want to use is fine. I think what I've really tried to do in the book is it's a guide for the traditional marketers that see a lot of cool new stuff and tactics and know they need to get on digital, but they're not sure how. And what they need is a different way of looking at what is the function of marketing to then be able to understand what's the right way to work in digital, what's the right way to deliver on television, what's the right way to do events or promotions. And so the book itself, about the first half, I kind of talk about just the overall concept. And then the second half, I've got really a step-by-step methodology for how do you set great business objectives, how do you get good insights, how do you create a strategy around meaningful marketing, how do you measure, how do you follow up, tips and experiences I've had both on the client side at Procter as well on the agency side, working with a lot of big companies on the mistakes to look out for. So this is really getting at, and we were just talking earlier, what the ideas are out there. The future is here. It's unevenly distributed. And it's only distributed, where organizations have said, how do I shift my entire way of looking at marketing? So I think that's really what's new there, not the tactics, but the overall approach. Yeah.
You have a lot of examples of like the apps and M&M's personalization website. What would your advice be for the more resource-constrained SMBs? A lot of us work with?
Yeah. For example, what are some of the companies? Small businesses?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What people can do if they don't have money for a programmer.
Sure. Right. What I think is really interesting is, especially with some of the social media tools, it's allowing small businesses to do things that they were never able to do before. And what's great about a small business is often they have more time than they do have money. And so in some case, and they often know their customers very well. So using some social media tools, again, not just for its own sake or we need to get on the bandwagon, but looking strategically as what's a business objective you have, what's an insight about your customer base, and then what are some things maybe we can do to hit on those to add value and get higher sales. One very basic one that I love is there's a little deli by our office that has a Facebook account that they basically focus on updating their special every day at about 11 o'clock. So the business objective there is get more people to come in more often. The insight is about 11 o'clock, you start thinking about where you're going to go. And if you've got that, for me, it's the buffalo chicken sandwich. If that's available, I'm at that deli every time. And by using Facebook, you're also able to coordinate and message friends in the office and say, hey, let's go out together. They're having the special. And so they're, word of mouth, they've told me that they see sales increase since they started doing that program. Something that's very basic and simple. I think other ways, what you can do is, again, focus on what that problem is, get some experimental budget money, help companies set up tests and get some real data in. Yeah.
Bob, I'd love to hear your thoughts on where you think our products fit in with some of your strategies, because I see something like AdWords speaking to engagement in some senses, and particularly for a lot of our direct response advertisers that are focused on engagement. But yet, we've acquired DoubleClick with a big bet on display and banner advertising, which may be in opposition to some of your thoughts. How do you see our products kind of fitting in?
Yeah, I think that, really the better way to think about it is what I would encourage for all these products. And a lot of the traditional media is not going to go away either. So print is going to continue, radio is going to continue, television is going to continue. And I think that the opportunities are, how do you twist it into really what the strategy of how you use it in the creative as well. So while I've said a lot of bad things about banner ads, we love doing banners that actually allow people to get deeper information, video into the banner itself. So things like when we offer a sample through a banner ad, we get incredible engagement rates, 10% plus people choosing to hover over that and spend 30 seconds, 40 seconds into that ad. And so that's really where I would see is that, and frankly, the reality is that a lot of traditional brand folks will say, I don't click on banners. And so one of the answers to that is, well, this is not really a banner. This is an experience. This is a kind of a portal to where they can get information that they desire without having to leave the website that they're on today. So anytime that we've seen that more rich media that is added value, not just clever annoyance or takeovers, that's where we see really great results. And I think AdWords, that to me, that is a core, again, arguably the first real marketing company that is hitting on marketing with meaning, where I'm searching, I'm going to find things. A lot of times what the advertisers are paying for is useful, and it's a win-win-win for all three. That's a great point. Yeah.
I'm curious what you see as the ideal balance between a meaningful ad and a humorous ad. I think we're so used to seeing beer commercials and also viral videos where they just focus on humor with the meaning to be lost. then again, if you don't have an engaging advertisement, then it's not going to get any sort of
Right.
engagement at all. So here's your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really tricky one. Like one of the temptations would be to say, hey, all you need to do in your television commercial is make it, cute or funny and done deal. We got meaningful marketing now. There's certainly occasions where we all have our favorite commercials that make us laugh and we want to see again. Maybe we want to go on YouTube and send it to friends afterwards. I think this is really, though, thinking of first and foremost about things like how do we get something that's worthy of people choosing to see it on YouTube, and then, oh, by the way, we'll play it during the Super Bowl or over the weekend games as well. I think it's a little bit of a different way of looking at it versus, hey, we got 30 seconds to fill. What do we do? We've got this time. And so I think that if you start looking at it in that way, it will encourage creatives at agencies and other places to start thinking more and, again, giving them a richer palette. One of the problems with the traditional 30-second ad is it's only 30 seconds or maybe a minute. So creatively, that's a tough box to break out of. So that's something there that I think is an opportunity for thinking first, how can we create something that's fun and interesting, and then second about traditional television. Does that answer your question? Or okay. And someone was kind of ducking around there. Yeah.
I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on some mistakes that you're seeing as more traditional advertisers start trying to dip their toes into digital.
Yep. Tons of mistakes out there, and sadly, in traditional organizations, when the mistakes happen, often that can be the end of someone's career or the idea of experimenting. I do try to talk about some examples that I've seen, both in the industry and personal experience in the book. One of I think the most interesting ones is what Dr. Pepper did with their forgetting the name of the new Guns N' Roses album. Did anyone see that? Where they said if the album finally comes out after 10 years of hype, by the end of 2008, they'll give everybody in the country a free Dr. Pepper. And Axl Rose actually got the album off in November, and to fulfill that obligation, they put a website up for just 24 hours for people to fill out the request form, and it crashed. It was impossible to log on. A lot of negative buzz on Twitter, other places online, and they came back and said, okay, we'll keep it open for another half a day. Again, you couldn't get through. I tried about 25 times myself, and people came away with a pretty poor experience, where it should have been the height of Dr. Pepper, right? So they focused on a piece of pop culture. People aren't really thinking about Dr. Pepper. They had a grand slam. Even Axl Rose was excited about it and said, yep, we're happy, even though he didn't get paid. And for them to drop the ball in the execution, that was really a negative there. So that's one of the things that, a good agency will help make sure that you've got extra server capacity, put it in the cloud, whatever, but really knowing that you got to fulfill your obligation. I think another example that hits every year, and it's going on right now, is the Elf Yourself program from who knows where? What brand does Elf Yourself? Raise your hand if you think it's Staples. Raise your hand if you think it's Office Max. Raise your hand if you think it's Office Depot. Okay, so there's no consensus, right? It's Office Max, I think. They've done it for 4 years, and huge amount of people going through the program, but they've done almost nothing to actually link the brand to the program or to try to get traffic into the stores at this important time of year. Now they've said, well, it just helps our equity, and we don't care about getting sales, as crazy as that sounds. But I think there could have been a lot of opportunities for, again, thinking how can we be more meaningful, and then how do we hit on the business objective of getting people into the store. They could have done something like, once you do your jib jab, you can hit a button and go get a printout of your picture at the local Office Max store, right? So maybe something like that would get the tens of millions of people who are playing with this to go into the store, pick up their free picture, and then buy some other gear that they need too. So something simple like that I think could have done a lot better. So making sure you keep your eyes on what's the business objective, how are we getting the ROI is still important. Anybody else? Great. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.